Okay, this is Module 13, Exponents and Polynomials. I'm David Dipple from the Art Institute. After going through this, I suggest you quickly take the skills check, go through that, do the best you can, and hopefully skip some of the parts within the module. Okay, number 1, when you combine, I take the first one, I write it down. Then there's a minus, which means we're going to change all these. Negative times 3, negative times 2, negative times minus 8. Makes a negative 3, negative 2, and a positive 8. The last one has a positive, which means we're just going to copy them. We're not going to change them, so it's a squared, 5b squared, and 6b. Then you can just add up vertically. It's much easier. Take the front numbers, negative 2, and negative 3 is negative 5, plus 1 is negative 4. Combine the b's, gives you negative 3b squared, and combine the b's at the end, and you get 9b. Okay, classification. There are 3 terms, so that's a trinomial. And the degree is the biggest power. This is 1. There's 2. That's a bigger power, so 2 is the degree. Okay, simplifying. Negative 3 times negative 5 is 15. And then we add the powers, 3 plus 4. So you get 15x to the 7th. Okay, with division, if you will take the number on the bottom, take its opposite. Since there are 2 terms, we can't just chop this up. We have to use synthetic division or long division. And synthetic division is quicker. Take the opposite of minus 3, which is positive. Then take your coefficients. This is a 2x cubed, so I just write 2. There's no x squared, so I write a 0. 20x, or at minus 20, and then plus 6 at the end. Okay, with synthetic division, we just add going down. The first number is 2 plus nothing makes 2. Then you take this outside 3 times the 2 makes 6. And then we add, makes 6. Outside 3 times 6 makes 18. Add is negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Add makes 0. And when you get to very, very, very end, that is your remainder, just like it is with long division. So we have 2. It was x to the third, so now it's x squared because we divided. We made it smaller. So it's 2x squared. The 6 gets an x, and the minus 2 is your constant. Okay, number 5, I multiply the binomials first. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x, 2 times x is minus 2x, and minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. Combine these 2 terms. You get x squared plus x minus 6. Then x times x squared is x cubed, x times x is x squared, and x times 6 is 6x. Evaluate. Put the number 2 in. This is going to be 3 of them because it's cubed. That's going to be 2 of them. That's going to be 1 of them. So you have negative 3 with 3 2's after it. Plus 5 with 2 2's because it's squared, minus 7 with 1 2. Then you take your calculator and evaluate this. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is negative 24. This is plus 20, minus 14 plus 3. Just type that in your calculator and you should get negative 15. 7, 3 to the 0. If you have an exponent key, you can type in 3 to the 0. If you don't, that's 3 0 times, which means you don't write 3. You just write 1. 4 squared is 16. 16 plus 1 is 17. Okay, simplification. We have a power on a parentheses, so this power gets multiplied by all those other powers. 3 is a 1 power, so it's 3 to the third. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. You multiply the powers. This is a 1 power. 2, 3, multiplied by 3. 6 times 3 is 18, and 6 times 4 is 24. Now, whenever you're multiplying, you add the powers. 3 to the third is 27. Well, won't do that one. 6 plus 18, and 9 plus 24, and then w just gets that one. Then we can do 3 to the third is 27. 6 and 18 is 24. 9 and 24 is 33, and w to the third. So if it's on parentheses, you multiply the powers. If they're next to each other, you add the powers. Number 9, multiplication. I just multiply them out. A times 2a is 2a cubed. a times 4a is 4a squared. A times minus 5 is minus 5a. 3 times 2 is plus 6a squared. 3 times 4 is 12a. 3 times 5 is 15. And if you'll multiply them and line them up, you'll get 2a cubed, 10a squared, minus 17a, and 15. This multiplication just takes more steps. 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the fourth. 2x squared times 3 is 6x cubed, and it's negative. 2x squared times 4 is 8x squared, and it's negative. Then take the middle. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 3 is 3x squared. And x times 4 is minus 4x. Minus 1 just changes all the signs. Minus x squared plus 3x plus 4. And again, if you'll do this vertically, just shifting over 1 every time, you'll get 2x to the fourth, adding down, minus 5x cubed, adding down, 12x squared, add down, minus x, add down, plus 4. Multiplication, 5x times 3x is 15x squared. 5x times 6 is 30x. Then you do the second one. 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times 6 is 24. And again, if you'll just shift over every time, then addition going down, 15x squared. 30 minus 12 is 18x, minus 24. They'll be lined up for you. Scientific notation, you'd simply count from the decimal right here how far you have to move it over until you get to the next to last digit, which is right here. So we just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So to me the ninth. And then you just write these as a decimal, 1.325, and you move it until you get a whole number and then decimal after it. So it's 10 to the ninth. Okay, multiplication, 2x to the fourth, 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 4 is 8 to the fifth, and 2 times 3 is 6x to the fourth. We simply add the powers. 4 and 2 is 6, 4 and 1 is 5, 4 and nothing is 4. Okay, simplification. You multiply your powers on parentheses. That's negative 4 times 4, and negative 4 times 6. So it's minus 16 minus 24. And you have a minus 3 and a positive 5. Now at this point, I move negatives. So this 16 is going to move down to the bottom, 24 is going to move down to the bottom, and 3 is going to move up to the top. Negative powers move. So you have a to the third. Just a second. I'm sorry, backed up one step. You have a to the negative 16, b to the negative 24th, a to the negative third, and b to the fifth. Now, as I said a minute ago, move the negatives. So a moves, b moves, and this a bottom moves up. That should give you a to the third moves up, a to the 16th moves down, b to the 24th moves down, and b to the fifth stays down. And then when you combine those, 16, now we subtract with division. 16 minus 3 is 13, and we add 24 plus 5 is 29. Okay, simplification of these, you put the 24x to the fifth over negative 6x squared. The 12x cubed over negative 6x squared is minused. And then the 30x squared over 6x squared. Then you simplify each of these. 24 divided by 6 is 4, but it's negative. And you subtract 5 minus 2. 2 negatives make a positive. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 3 minus 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. And 2 minus 2. And then we just simplify our powers. Negative 4x cubed plus 2x, and then minus 5. Okay, what polynomial divided by this gives that? Since they're asking what polynomial divided, we're going to multiply 2x to the fifth times, and that'll find out what our original was. 2 times 3 is 6, and we add our powers. 5 plus 3. 2 times 4 is 8, and we add our powers. 5 plus 1. 2 times 6 is 12, and we just have our x to the fifth. There's no power to add. When you simplify that, you get 6x to the 8th, 8x to the 6th, and minus 12x to the 5th. 17, if you'll put the numbers together, 3.2 and 4.2, 2 and 3.5, and then times, and take the tens and put them together. Now we can simplify our tens. Well, I took our 3.2 times 4.2 is 13.44. 2 times 3.5 is 7. Then I move my tens around. Take 10 to the 4th up to the top, 10 to the 5th down, 10 squared down. And then I simplified this. This is 10 to the 4th on top, 5, 8, 9, 10 to the 10th on the bottom. And then I'm going to subtract those. And I get 1.92 from this decimal, 10, and then 10 minus 4 is 6. Since it's on the bottom, it's negative. Okay, 18, add together 3x minus 2 plus 4x plus 1. And you get 3 and 4 is 7x minus 1. Subtract the two functions. That's what this notation means. 3x minus 2 minus 4x plus 1. Now, subtraction I do vertically. I take my 3x minus 2 and on my minus 4 minus 1. Then when I line them up, I get negative x minus 3. Okay, whenever they're multiplied like this, they're next to each other, that means multiplication. 3x times 4x is 12x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 1 is minus 2. Combine those, you get 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. And the 19 cubed means write it 3 times, so I write it 3 times. And I left the front one. You could leave the back one, and I do these. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times y, and then y times 2x is 2xy, and y times y is plus y squared. And I combine these, middle 2. So I have 2x minus y times 4x squared minus 4xy plus y squared. 2x times 4 is 8x cubed. 2 times 4 is 8x squared y. 2 times y squared is 2y squared, xy squared. Then the y times all of them is 4x squared y minus 4xy squared plus, turns into minus y cubed. And then since these are vertical, I get 8x cubed, 12x squared y, 6xy squared minus y cubed. So that's section 13.